On arrival at London King George V docks, Kieron is arrested and taken to court to answer for his crime. Shockingly, his sentence is a bit harsher than expected, and the search for Jan begins. Chapter 21. Crime of Passion. The bastards handcuffed me. I was frog-marched down to his black Morris Minor and squeezed onto the back seat. They drove to Marylebone Street Police Station, and in a daze I was taken to a dark cell. It smelled of stale pea, and I was wishing I had this character thing Ted was intent on creating in me. I reckoned I was looking good, though, what with a tan, a new haircut, and a fine cotton suit with no shoes. After some time, a bloke came and got me. I was marched to a wooden dock. There were a few people watching from the public area. Then in walked a lady magistrate. "What," she demanded, "drove you to such an act?" "Love," I replied. "I'm looking for my girlfriend." Crime of passion, my silent plea implied. Well, that was no excuse. I was sentenced to 30 days at Her Majesty's pleasure, or a £25 fine. That was a fortune, and a fiver did not cut the mustard. I thought I could handle 30 days in a warm cell, but when I discovered it was to be at Wormwood Scrubs, I panicked. The Scrubs, as it is known, is on a patch of land famed for its duels, the most famous being a disagreement between Lord George Bentinck and Squire Osbasdeston over an unpaid horse-racing bet at Heaton Park. The duel, with pistols, was to be settled by a count of 3, after which both men could discharge their weapons. They were 12 feet apart when the equivalent of a referee counted 1, 2, 3 in rapid succession, which caught the pair unawares, the result being a shot through Lord George's hat and no harm done. Well, at least you know about that now. The whole prison ritual followed. The strip, the rubber glove, the taking of valuables, the sound of a rubber glove going thwack. It's a sound I'm pretty wary of these days. Luckily, the warden saw fit to put me in a cell of my own. I can safely say that staring from a barred window for hours on end is a great incentive to stay on the right side of the law. To see birds flying, people going about their business and listening to the suffering of my fellow inmates. It was a lesson, a glimpse at character building, no doubt. During the day, I was sent to a small toy factory to paint wooden puppets. I had to paint Mickey Mouse's ears black, if you really need to know. A very strange man, who was convinced he was Bob Dylan, befriended me. He was in for life for killing his girlfriend. I was a stowaway. At the very point where this nutter was getting too close for comfort, I was bailed out. The crew of the Chitral had arranged a whip round. The smell of the fresh air at the prison entrance was the best tasting air in the world. I rushed to my destiny with a fiver, some cigarettes and a bottle of scotch. Jan and I had written to each other on occasion, but not for a while, and I had lost the letters over time. But I had some idea where Jan lived. A long road in Walthamstow, London. Terraced houses, just like Coronation Street. I walked for miles, knocking on doors. Finally, a lovely, tiny old lady answered and stood looking up at me. She knew it was me. How, I don't know, but she called out, "Janice, dear, Kieron is at the door." Jan appeared behind, hand on mouth in tears. She almost fell over with shock, and we spent the day with excited young abandon. I needed a place to stay, and that was easy through a friend of Jan's. But I needed a job. Bit of a pain, really. Such a nuisance as I knew so little and had to force myself to make a mental list of my skills. Cows. I knew a little about them. Been shat upon from a great height by steaming streams of porridge. What's brown and comes steaming out of cows? It is not the Isle of Wight ferry. Maize growing. Not in London. Architecture. One of my O-levels happened to be technical drawing. I brightened up, thinking of high-rise designs collapsing. Better give it a miss. Engines? Yes, I had once taken the cylinder head off my Chev Apache. Did I ever figure out how to get it back together? Yes. I remember it was a resounding success. This was, I hasten to add, due to a leaking tappet cover that needed a smear of glue. I was so curious, I just kept on undoing bolts to find out what was underneath. It was the best skill I had, so it was off to the city to try my luck at being a mechanic.